Okay guys, so today we are working on this, it's either an 0405, actually, it's a 05 Sequoia. I just replaced the battery. Obviously it was towed in, and it's a crank, no start, so let's take a listen. And not sure if you can tell, it sounds a little bit inconsistent, but we'll go ahead and start scanning it and see what codes we get. Alright guys, so I'm out here. I set up the scope because I want to see physically what we are missing that is keeping this from starting. So basically I am checking my spark, my fuel injector control. The spark is meaning the spark control, and also relative compression, so the amp clamp here based off of how it sounds. So I want to see where the ignition is striking based off the cylinder top dead center compression. Also see if we have a low cylinder, which one it is, so on and so forth. And so this is one of your first time looking at the under hood. Clearly we can see that there's been some coolant overflowing, so possibly overheating issue. The other thing, and I'll get you a shot of the codes here first, after I do the cranking test. I'm only trying to sort of rush this because before the temperature gets too cold out here, then I'll get you a shot of the codes. One thing I did notice, this key seems to be fairly newly cut, obviously aftermarket. So there was a immobilizer code in there. But again, let's take a look and see what's missing based off of this. So I'll actually keep you guys on the scope, and we'll kind of go from there. The channels, so the blue is our relative compression, red is our ignition, green is our injector control. So I'll go ahead and crank it. Alright, so clearly no injector control, no ignition control. And our relative compression is kind of all over the board. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So looks like we've got this cylinder down and this cylinder down. Not a good sign, but we also don't have, again, control here, which is keeping us from starting. So based off of that, I think I am going to look quick at the immobilizer code, see if there's a way to rectify that. Not too confident in the engine overall based off the physical coolant signs we're seeing and the relative compression, but let's try to see if we can even get it running first. Okay, so apparently there seems to be a kind of like a recalibration or resyncing of the immobilizer and the engine computer, which is to have the key on and ground pin 13 for about a half hour. So I'll go ahead and do that and see if that does anything. Okay, and so here are some of the trouble codes. This is the immobilizer code that I was talking about. but we also have cam sensor codes, which obviously can inhibit us possibly from letting the engine starting and running, but not sure if it will completely make it immobilized. Again, we are trying to do kind of like a reset, see if that'll take care of anything, get the ignition and fuel injector back up. If not, I'll have to do some more digging. Okay, so it's been a half hour. I've got my jumper, my DLC jumper removed. Got all the same channels reconnected. Let's see if anything changes. See if we get ignition and injector control back. All right, so nothing changed. No control here again. So I am betting that we are going to be dealing with an immobilizer issue here. Despite the fact that we might have a bad engine, we can't get it running to find out because, again, I'm saying we're not getting any control from the engine computer. Gut feeling is, again, due to the key being new. I doubt that it was done correctly, and we are just, again, having an immobilizer issue. Okay, so what I've decided to do, being that it looks like the key was made and probably not programmed properly, was to take out the immobilizer, go through the procedure that it takes to, I guess, do a key. And so that is what I've got going on. So I've got the circuit board out of the case, and the EEPROM that we will be dealing with is this guy here. I'll have to remove that in order to read it and be able to generate the key for it with the EEPROM info. But just out of curiosity, I wanted to see if this key could be read or have any information. And this is what it pulled up. And so I'm not sure if that's the chip type, but this is what it says. It's not telling me that it's locked. I'm not sure if it would with this type of key, but I know on others that I've done, it would say. But for now, it is able to pull up some information from the key. And so we'll just go ahead through the process and try to get that key tied into this EEPROM. Okay, so I got the chip off. I did mess up or blow off this one small resistor there. I'll have to correct that, but I think that's the only thing that I messed up at this point. No big deal. We can realign that. So, EEPROM installed. Let's back out of here. And we'll go to chip reading. EEPROM. I think it's microchip. So it's this one and this one here. EEPROM. Let's go ahead and I'm going to do a read, but I'm going to set this verification so that's still on. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the read now. Okay, so 2 reads. This is the info pulls up from the EEPROM. We will save this and then continue on. Okay, so we will back out all the way. And now we go here. And so there is, again, not sure if that was what we were pulling from the key info, the 67. But we will, so load the data. This one here. Okay, so this is the information for the keys that are stored in the immobilizer. So let's see, it's got a key in number 5 position and then 1 and 2. So let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and put this key in here and then I'll pick a slot. I'll pick number 3 and let's make a key. So there, so let's see, if we want to add key to number 3, we hit yes. Yes, we do want to save that. Okay, so I saved it and it modified that original EEPROM with a new key in its slot, which is this guy here, should be in slot 3. So now with that modified EEPROM file, we have to write that back into this EEPROM, and that way it's got all the new file with this key in it, and then we'll reinstall that on the circuit board. There we go. So we've got 3 is in a, it's written now as used, so there is our key. So let's back out. We'll go back to EEPROM and do a write. So hit yes. And I'll set the write function to double check itself, just for extra measure. And so now we want to write the new EEPROM info. Okay, so it's writing it, and there we go. So it wrote it twice, or checked itself twice. It says successful. We are now good to put this back on the board and see if we can get the key to give us some ignition and fuel injection. Okay, so we've got the chip installed back in. There we go. And then I did straighten out that resistor. It's back in its place. I did take a picture beforehand of the whole circuit board and how it's assembled, because I was afraid of blowing off some of those little guys, like that one or that one. But taking a picture ahead of time does help you in scenarios like that. So with that installed back in, soldered, let's go ahead and put this back in the car. Alright, let's go ahead and install this immobilizer back in. let's see. To put you down for a minute. I'll have to, not sure if I need it, but I'll put the cluster back in, at least plug it in. Okay, so let's see, the scope is still running. Let's give it a shot. Awesome, there we go. Alright, let me turn this off quick here. Oh wow, that's cool. Let's go see. The engine didn't sound terrible as far as with the low cylinder stuff, but let's see. Let's see, we'll back out. There we go. So full control going on as what we would expect. Awesome. All right, so for now, I might let it run for a little bit, but that's the whole reason why it got towed. Looks like it was just an immobilizer issue to incorrect key or not fully programmed key. All right, guys, so I think as far as the video goes, I'm going to stop it there. Mainly, this was a Diag to see why it would not start run. Clearly, we had no control of the ignition and fuel due to the computer shutting that down because of an immobilizer issue. Autel let me get that key written into the immobilizer. Now we get it all started, running, and at this point, anything further than that's going to be separate issues. So I just wanted to bring you guys along, show you how to identify a situation like this and get the vehicle running. And so hopefully you learned something from it, and thank you for watching. It's time to get all this stuff inside and get warmed up. So that's all on this one.